Hello and welcome back to Quarterlight. Today we're going to look at one of my favourite cars, a true French classic, the Renault 4. The Renault 4 was produced between 1961 and 1994. Initially marketed as a station wagon, in fact it really was the world's first mass-produced hatchback. It was an extremely successful car, so much so in the first 4.5 years it sold 1 million units, and then total units was around about 8 million. It was also Renault's first front-wheel drive car. It was a car that the chairman of Renault at the time, Pierre Dreyfus, around about 1956, he launched this concept to really compete against the Citroen 2CV. The 2CV was already a very successful car, although that was dating back much further into around about 1948 when that came out. The 2CV came out at a time when the roads in France were very poor, and it was a very utilitarian car which was very comfortable to go over them rough roads. But at the same time, top speed wasn't a priority, so it only had a very tiny engine. Now, the Renault was really trying to be one up on this. It still had a really good soft suspension and independent suspension. It had a very large sort of boxy platform. In fact, the hatchback actually helped it carry much more than a 2CV could. But it was the same sort of idea of being a very basic vehicle with not much equipment in it. But its real true advantage, as you can see the kittens all running around, I do apologise for that. Its main advantage was it had a 4-cylinder, much larger engine. It was much more refined in that way and could produce a lot higher top speed. Now the brochure we're going to look at is actually from 1975, and it's a great look at the Renault 4. Here it is. It's a UK brochure, and it's kind of like a little bit of a leaflet type thing. So we'll go through that today and see what we can see. Okay, I've just waited a few moments to let those kittens calm down a little bit. They were going a little bit crazy with a ball with a bell in it, so I do apologise for that. But anyway, here's a look at that brochure. It's showing a very beautiful Renault 4 in a very nice yellow colour. And like I said, this is from 75 and it's actually a UK brochure. This front cover is actually showing the 4TL. There was also a Renault 4L, which was a little bit more basic, believe it or not, although this is still an extremely basic car. But anyway, let's open that front cover and have a look. And here it's showing the Renault 4 range, and it's just showing those two models, the Renault 4L and 4TL. It's telling us that it'll do around about 40 miles per gallon, which is obviously one of the advantages with a low selling price car that was also very economical. One thing you will note throughout this brochure, it's only ever showing the Renault 4TL, the higher spec vehicle, as often did on these brochures. Interestingly, it's showing on here service intervals between 6,000 and 9,000 miles once a year, which was very good at the time, another way to save money. It then goes to say what we're going to see later on in the brochure. So we're going to look at that Renault 4TL description. It's then going to show us the brief description of the van and pickup, the different specifications between the 4L and the 4TL, and what they call the boutique accessories, the extra things you can buy for the Renault 4. So let's have a look at that now. Now we're looking at the inside of the Renault 4TL. And similar, I mean the TL and the L was the same mechanically. It's showing its front wheel drive and a well-proven 845cc engine and 7 inches of ground clearance. That was the similar with both models, but you can see straight away that's a bit of an improvement over the 2CV. Also, something that is similar with the 2CV is this gear change. Anyone who's drove a 2CV will be very familiar with that gear lever sticking out the dashboard in that unusual pattern, but they're a very simple gearbox to use, and they do feel quite nice. The main difference really I've found between the Renault 4 and the 2CV, the gearbox isn't, or the gear lever isn't quite a nice as feel as a 2CV. Actually, it's a little bit not quite as direct, but certainly anyone familiar with driving a 2CV will be very familiar with that sort of H pattern gear change. And it's a 4-speed, and it's actually synchromesh gearbox on all the gears. Again, it's showing us that it does 40 miles per gallon, and it's showing 3-star petrol, if anyone remembers 3-star petrol. It then goes on to say, with no greasing points and sealed in antifreeze, servicing is a minimal. One of the things with the 2CV, the suspension was quite a little bit more complex, so it actually used to have a little bit more servicing required on a 2CV over the Renault 4. It's also showing one of the Renault accessories, which they used to sell under this boutique, where these car radios and stereos that you could fit, obviously at an extra cost. Here again, a further look at that Renault 4 TL. There's never a page that shows just the 4L in this way. It's really focusing on these seats and the extra equipment you can have on it, but initially you can see that it is a nicer seat than you would get on a 2CV. And on the left side of this page, it's still showing that 4TL, but a similar sort of idea on the L and the TL. Is how practical a vehicle it was. More practical than a 2CV, with this hatch opening all the way out. Like I say, the first real mass-produced hatchback, and we know how successful they were. Unusual little drawings of carrying goldfish and dogs, but you get an idea how these seats folded down on the 4TL to give that really practical load area. And you can also see in these pictures the suspension and how much ground clearance the Renault 4 TL had. This particular model is also showing this rollback sunroof, very similar idea to the 2CV. And on the right hand side, it's showing these 7 cubic weight vans and pickups. The van at the top there, you can see that sort of like giraffe style opening at the top there, so basically you could close the back door and you could put a ladder up there, which was a very clever idea. And then lower down was this pickup, and to be honest with you, I don't remember this pickup at all. It must have been sold in very low numbers. I don't remember actually ever seeing one on the UK roads, to be honest with you. Certainly that must be a rare car today. It shows here that a separate brochure deals more fully with these workhorse vehicles, so you could actually get a separate brochure showing these, because this is the only time it shows it in this particular brochure. And this would have been one of these brochures for these vans. This is actually an early one. It's from 1970, so it's actually a 6 cubic weight. But you could get a separate brochure for the vans, and this is a brochure we'll have a look later on in the series. This next page is showing that Renault 4 specifications. So it's showing the coachwork all in steel. The engine's a 4-cylinder inline 845cc engine, front wheel drive with a 4-speed all synchromesh gearbox, drum brakes all round, independent suspension on all 4 wheels, and it was a very long travel suspension as well. Rack and pinion steering, safety features, and safety features at the time meant things like just putting padding on the dashboard and the steering wheel. And then it goes on about the equipment, and this is the first time we really see the difference between the 4L and the 4TL. So the 4L didn't have a heated rear window when the 4TL had one. The 4L had a front bench seat. The 4TL had individual seats. And so on and so forth. You know, the rear window on the L was not a sliding one, so you couldn't open it. And then things like luggage compartment mats and wall trims extra on the 4TL. And then optional extras were things like reclining front seats and a sunroof. Finally, the back page. The back page is this Renault boutique. Your extras you could get for your Renault 4, and this particular Renault 4TL has now got lots of them extras on there. So you can see these front fog lights, I presume they are at the front there. It's got a roof rack on there. You'll also notice it's got a second rear view mirror on the passenger side, something that the Renault 4 didn't come with at the time. You can also get at the rear extra fog lamps, or in fact fog lamps, heavy duty mud flaps, reversing lights, etc, etc. Inside you could get that radio which we mentioned earlier, and also other little things like a locking petrol cap, which were all little extras you could fit to your Renault 4. So there we have it, the Renault 4. Renault's answer to an improved Citroen 2CV, and it certainly was. Kittens are still playing around in the background there. They're having a crazy day. But yeah, I mean, it certainly was an improvement over the 2CV, although some Citroen enthusiasts would certainly say it possibly lost a little bit of its character. But certainly a great car nonetheless. We'll look at brochures like the 2CV and what Citroen did to compete against this Renault 4. They came out with the Citroen Diane, which was an improvement over the 2CV with a few more refinements, which was directly to compete against this particular car. Thank you once again for watching Quarterlight today. Please do like and subscribe if you haven't done already, and we'll see you very soon. Goodbye from me and the kittens. Goodbye.